right, welcome to Big Perspective Podcast. I'm your girl, Lady J.
I'm Big T.
And I'm Chad Sampson, and today we have the honor to have with us the 13th mayor of the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina, Honorable Mayor Mitch Colvin. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. So to kick it off, for the viewers out there that may not know who you are or may not have voted for you, tell them who you are.
First of all, you need to vote for me. No, it's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Mitch Colvin. I'm a Fayetteville native, born and bred here. Went to E. Smith High School, went to Fayetteville State University. I am a businessman, also the president of Colvin Funeral Home, the father of 3 daughters, member of Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church, and Kappa. So, in my second term as mayor, this is the city I love. Prior to that, served 2 terms on the Fayetteville City Council. So glad to be with you today.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if I can jump right into it, because I know we have some issues we're going to touch about today as well. And so I want to get mine out of the way. And so from my understanding, if I may.
Go ahead, Tab.
So from my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, your vision is to increase the salaries of employees here in the city of Fayetteville. And for me, I look at that and I say, that has a direct correlation to poverty. If you can, speak about that vision as well as poverty here in the city of Fayetteville.
Well, first of all, I think that, I'm on a mission to raise the wages of every individual that lives here in the city of Fayetteville. I think you have to practice what you preach. So it starts with the city of Fayettille. We have almost 1,700 employees, so we want to make sure that we're treating each and every one of our workers in the way that they should be treated, that they can actually afford to live in the city that they work in. Secondly, I hope that would lead to encouraging other agencies like our county commission, our school board, to make sure that whether you're a janitor, bus driver, cafeteria worker, that you also can afford to live in the city of Fayetteville. And then we'll ask the private sector to do it. I've made a mission in my own businesses to try to make sure that the people who work for me are at or above that level by a certain date and time. So I think that a rising tide lifts all boats, but in order for the quality of life in Fayetteville to be good for all of us, we have to make sure that it's good for every one of us.
Outstanding. And with that being said, of course, raising the wages here, me and Jaquetta, we were talking earlier, and my colleague here serves in the military. We've both been a number of places. I'm not going to steal her thunder. She has some wonderful questions to ask you. I'm going to shift it to her. See how you're going to answer that one.
You going to have,
I'm going to let you have that one.
Minimum wage? Is that the conversation you're talking
I'm going to let you have that one.
I was shocked. I'm really shocked that the minimum wage is still $7 in 2020.
She's from San Diego.
Well, I'm from San Diego, California. So
well,
our
the milk
minimum
is
wage
$20 a gallon.
Well,
upwards of maybe 12 to 13. I think they're making maybe 17, close to 17.
Yeah, well, the federal government sets that, and basically, it would be wise for all of us to press those people who we plan to support for president in this next election to make sure that they commit to doing that on a federal level, because that sets the tone. But each state also has the option to do it. But as a city, we can make a conscious decision to say, listen, we're going to do the right thing. We know that you can't take care of a family for $7.25.
Exactly. Okay. So affordable housing. What is your stance on affordable housing?
Well, again, like I said, we received information that said that to live in this community for the average 2-bedroom facility, you need to at least make about $15 an hour. So we think that there's a direct connection between those who are at or below that level and the amount of housing options that they have. And so if you're paying more than 30 to 40% of your income for somewhere to live, whether it's a mortgage or rent, then you're in poverty technically. And so that takes money out of the pockets of you and your family to do other things. So it is directly related to that. We have about 8,000 to 9,000 people that fit that mold that I just described. And so the job is to, one, that would be an awful lot of affordable housing units to build, and it would take a long time and a lot of money, and it would use up a lot of our capacity for other market rate housing. So I think that the way that we do it is we build and make some more of that available, but we also bring the wages and the salaries up in this community.
Okay, I agree. So, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. How do we make sure that we're helping but not enabling? Because although, taking care of the minimum wage is something that is very important, but how do we make sure that we're meeting people halfway and they're doing their part so that they don't take advantage of a lot of these government assistance programs that are available to them?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think there's a difference between affordable and workforce housing and public assistance.
Right, exactly.
And so public assistance was different. It was a model that the government used several years ago, to where you concentrated people in that situation and you really discouraged them from trying to do better. What I'm talking about is the average person who just works maybe 2 or 3 jobs and just doesn't make enough to make the connections.
Right.
And so I think that we enable people to do it. At the same time, I am working with our housing authority to make sure that we increase the number of home ownerships substantially over the next several years, so that we're building homeowners. And so people who will rent or receive help right now, hopefully there's a pathway to home ownership for them, which is a step in the right direction.
Okay. Trent, what you got?
I mean, I could go on and on. This is my city too. Unlike San Diego, this is my city. So, I mean, I like that you explained the difference between affordable housing and income-based housing and those matters, because we were talking briefly about the generational curses that happen in those vicinities. So I was like, if we create affordable housing, are they learning financial literacy? Are they, learning how to save their money? I mean, with affordable housing, that kind of caveats to redeveloping Murchison Road in a way. So would Murchison Road and your vision be a part of that new affordable housing area? Would it be
some of it? You have, Murchison Road is my home. It's very near and dear to my heart, and you have really a community that's been underinvested. You have some great people over there, but the public, including the local government, has not made the right investments there. The redevelopment of Murchison Road, I think, is what we need to do, is to make sure that we take renters and make them into homeowners in that area. When I grew up in the area around E. Smith, it was a neighborhood that consisted of a lot of retired school teachers or current school teachers and people that own their homes. And now, just like most inner city neighborhoods, the ratio of owners to renters is changing. So we need to get that going back in the right direction, because when people own their property, they take a different level of ownership and commitment to it. There are certain things that you don't stand for in your neighborhood. You make sure that it looks nice. And so I think that helps all of us. But the Murchison Road redevelopment will not only consist of housing opportunities and redevelopment, but we also want to bring business growth in there. And business growth usually follows housing. And so a lot of times when you have robust neighborhoods, you find those businesses that support that, whether it's a grocery store, bank, pharmacy, but you have to serve the needs of the people, but it starts with the housing.
I know we got a lot of different sides when it comes. It's real touching when we talk about Murchison Road. You have the community that feel like redevelopment means you're pushing me out of my house.
Right.
I know I see it a lot through our social medias, Facebook, which Facebook is fake news. Because a lot of people go there to get their news when they don't actually go to the source.
True.
So they look at opinions and say, oh, that's a fact.
Right.
So do you think that the redevelopment will have a resistance with the community?
Well, I think as long as you explain it, right?
Yeah.
Because people fear what they don't know. And the first thing is that the government is not trying to do anything to you and to the people of Murchison Road. We're trying to do it with you. Right. And so I think that explaining that fact, being committed to it. One, I said that's my neighborhood. There are a number of things that the government could do. Other cities have employed things like property tax freezes, to where if we come in and we revitalize your neighborhood and your house goes from $50,000 in value to $100,000, that you pay taxes at the old value as long as that is your primary resident. But now if you're an investor or something like that, or the heirs of a person, then that's a different story. Then, we can't allow you to the system to be manipulated. But I think making it and keeping the neighborhood affordable while we grow it and rebuild it is the way to do it, and that will kind of stave off the gentrification that people worry about.
Yeah, that word frightens a lot of
Yeah.
people. But,
All right.
I think, he did a lot. I mean, you brought the Walmart on Murchison Road. You led that triumph, and I know that was a hurtful thing to see it close, but I believe that was just one step into bringing Murchison Road into.
Well, it is, and it's changed dramatically. I mean, there's more new development on there than it's been in quite some time. It was a food desert, and so that was one of the issues that I ran on and kind of elevated the discussion of that. While other things were at play. And corporate America is corporate America. When Walmart says, we're going in another direction, they're going in another direction. But it presents us opportunities, and we're still working to kind of fill those gaps. And so one of the things that I was able to do was to secure city funding for Fayetteville State's farmers market, and so that was a part of it. And so the idea there was to provide healthy food options for people, just in case the grocery store left.
They got some good okra and tomatoes.
So when you talk about business development on Murchison Road, what are some things you would like to see there? I know you said that there was a food desert, so I'm sure bringing the farmers market helps kind of mitigate that issue. What are some other businesses you would like to see come?
So I think there are a number of things. One is based on the current, and goes back to our initial conversation about incomes. Any retail business is going to look at the incomes and the level that the levels of in the area you're asking them to go. And so as we raise incomes and make that picture, that statistic more attractive, then I think you can get some of the companies that follow disposable income, like retail, clothing, those kinds of things. But the businesses that I would really like to see there, of course, are the grocery stores, the services that people need regardless. And so, I think that Fayetteville is great. It's in a great space. 42% of our money, our dollars generated in the city of Fayetteville are healthcare related. I think there's a lot of opportunity for expansion of healthcare services and jobs over there to where we just recently welcomed Stedman Wade Medical Center to provide physical and behavioral health services to the community. But I think we can get more of that. And so as Fayetteville State's nursing program grows, I think that there's an opportunity for some healthcare related activities over there. I definitely would like to see that because those are long, sustainable jobs. In addition to that, I think that there's an opportunity to what we talked about last night was to see and encourage the redevelopment of Bronco Square to where it's more than just a barbershop and a restaurant depot, that basically you bring in things like movie theaters and coffee shops and things that people like to spend their time and money. And so I think that there's an opportunity for those kinds of things.
As a caveat to that, you're bringing in these businesses, and you and I are business owners as well. And there's number one thing we love: incentives. So how does the city incentivize these other businesses to come here and provide opportunities for the people of the city of Fayetteville, but also be here for a long time?
Yeah, so that's a great point. What we've done, I was real active in helping Murchison Road get included in the Opportunity Zone designation, which is a federal program that where all of the federal agencies and the dollars, if you're looking for a project in the Opportunity Zone, it receives twice the scoring rating. And so it kind of moves that project to the top. So there's federal resources available. In addition to that, I think the city can do things like make business loan and investments and create incentives for people to use to open businesses or to sustain a business in a targeted area like Murchison Road. We talked about that last night. I think we have to take our program back to the drawing board because we were using an antiquated model that's like a 50-50 match for a business owner. The main thing as a business person that you need is capital a lot of times to make improvements. So if you had $25,000 in the bank, matching another 25 really doesn't help you. But I think that we need to be more practical with that. So my job over the next few months is to try to get that money that the city has on the streets to the business owners of Murchison Road and people who want to be a business owner.
So how do we move? So I'm not from Fayetteville. I'm from San Diego, California. But when I got here, I heard about the Merc. Like everyone tells you, don't go to the Merc. Stay away from the Merc. How do you remove those negative connotations as it relates to Mercans?
Yeah, what we talked about, the first thing is as we make the visual real improvements, I think that we let people know. Now, the misnomer is that it's crime infested, it's dangerous. But the fact of the matter is, Murchison Road's the crime in and around it is down. It's the lowest it's been in a decade. That you have more incidents in areas not on Murchison Road than what Murchison Road has, and that was surprising to us. So we know that it will take some rebranding. But I think when you create a good environment that people like to live in, they'll forget. It's happened all across the country. Northwest D.C. Back in the 90s was an area that you couldn't go in. Now, if you go to it, I mean, it's full of robust activity, and people are spending time there, and safety is not an issue. So I think that we'll do our part with cleaning up and beautifying it. And then we just need to rebrand and get the message out that it's a good place to be.
Well, I think you made a good point saying how the crime and the stuff is down and the theft is down and everything, because I think people hold on to things that maybe happened 10, 15 years ago and they kind of carry that over. And I also believe that just because someone like you guys grew up around that area, and there's nothing wrong with being proud of where you're from. So when people like express that they love being, or they give it a nickname for the Merc, I don't necessarily see that as negative. But when you rebrand it and make it beautiful and give those stats of crime is down in that area, I think that gives people something to look
But
forward
I think
to.
with the rebranding, you look at Killer Mike, what he did with the Crips and
Yeah,
Bloods.
yeah.
Oh,
How
yeah,
he
yeah.
took something negative, even
Right.
though it's still Crips and Bloods, he took something that was negative and turned it into positive. So I don't think that there's a problem with the Merc if you keep it the Merc.
No,
Just change-
that's what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying. There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with being
Yeah.
proud of where you grew
Yeah.
up. Absolutely. But you do, like the mayor said, you do have to put, maybe some area beautification in there. You do have to let people know that, hey, statistically, crime is down in this area, because it may just not be something that they know.
Well, if you look out right outside the door where we are, I mean, if you knew this area on Hay Street in the 90s, I mean, it was full of strip clubs and other activities.
Right.
You look at it today, and it's totally reformed. So it will take some time, but it will take some money. And that is the problem that has been missing. The city has not invested the type of money and resources into that area to make it a Hay Street.
Okay.
I have a question for you. So we posed a question to our viewers and listeners, and basically, I'm rephrasing for you. Under your leadership as mayor, you're the 13th mayor of Fayetteville, and there have been obviously 12 before you. They had a vision where Fayetteville can go. Some did it, some didn't. The question I ask you is what's one thing that you want to see for the city of Fayetteville that you know may not happen under your tenure?
Well, that's a good question, man. Because to make transformative change, it takes a while.
Absolutely.
And you have to be committed to it. I'm committed to it. And originally, I always want to keep the mission out front more so than my terms or term limits. But what I would like to see is that Fayetteville become a magnet to capture the talent that is here already. It's important to me that my daughters will return home after they go off and get educated. So I want to stop the brain drain that's leaving here when these kids go get educated to go to other communities and live, because we don't have what they need here. So my job is to build up the quality of life here that will not be an option. So we have a number of strategies that we'll do that. I think that we're at a pivotal time to where a lot of communities have peaked. You have the Raleighs and the Charlottes, they're the hottest areas in the country, but you have areas that have not yet started to reach their potential. I think that is where we are now. We have a $300 billion economic engine to the north of us called Fort Bragg that pushes us a workforce out that we will need to start to captivate and to make this an option for them as they exit the military. We're 80 miles from Wilmington, from the coast, so we need to leverage our relationship there. We're right on I-95, 2 hours to the mountains. I mean, we are in a sweet spot, in a great situation. We just got to leverage it and begin to tell our story.
All right. So, what is it like to be the mayor? What does the mayor like to do? How do you relax? When you loosen that tie up and you get home and you kick back, let the people know what you like to do. How do you relax?
I mean, I'm in the funeral business, so I take life. You have to live well
Lord,
every day.
in the funeral business, y'all.
I am big on balance. I set aside times that I said, listen, I am going to get away. I'm going to decompress, kind of gather myself and come back, charge my battery, and I'll come back. So I believe life's a balance. I kind of keep my spiritual part first, keep God up front. It kind of lines up everything else down line. But as a mayor, I enjoy, as a person, I enjoy golf. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy spending time with my family. And so the things that people like to do. At the end of it, being mayor is different, but the passion and the love that I have for the city of Fayetteville kind of motivates me to keep pressing on with it. It's definitely great, but it pulls a lot out of you. I mean, it takes a lot of your time and your personal life and your privacy is gone.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you sign up for it, and I think that the returns that we can realize from putting this work in right now, to having a community that my kids will come back, that I can, actually be around them as they start a family. That's going to be worth it to me. So that pushes me.
And it's very admirable. You not only are talking about people doing it, you've done it. Yeah. You grew up here,
right.
You got educated here, and you are doing your part to make this place better. So It's very admirable.
Thank you.
I just want to ask, what's your handicap?
Oh man, well I have them. You know, I definitely have them.
Handicaps
So
on the camera.
No, we talking about golf. See, obviously,
I ain't know what kind of handicap you talking about. Only
that's
handicap
your golf
I know.
score.
yeah. So it's my golf scores. Yeah. So look, Chaz, that was just supposed to be no trick question. It's too high, that's for sure. So
we gotta hit the green sometime.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Look
So
forward
do
to it.
you have any like I think a lot of people get misunderstanding about what politicians say. Do you think is there any way to answer that misunderstanding? Because I think you say a lot of genuine stuff and the public just twists it. I don't know how they do.
Well,
I don't know.
and you know, just to be real, I mean, people that don't support you are gonna capitalize on anything you say and twist it into whatever they want it to be. You know, I use as just a guiding principle just to be real, be honest. You know, sometimes that gets me in trouble just saying what's on my mind, but that's just who I am. And so, you know, I think that when you try to masquerade and put on airs, that's when it leads you to trouble. So kind of what you see is what you get with me. If I have something to say to you, I say it. I'm vocal about it, and I move on with it.
Like the TI is.
That's
All
how it
right.
is.
Well,
So-
go ahead, Chaz.
Yeah. So we've discussed a number of things, and once again, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast as well as the
Thank you
show.
so much.
It really means a lot. You know, I'm gonna give back to Jaquetta because she ends it with a quote every
We
day.
do.
So
We
we're gonna
do.
pass
We
these
like
quotes
to
so
around.
pass
deep.
it
They
off.
are
Everyone
deep.
needs to go around the table. We like to
Mayor,
end it
Mayor,
off
they
with a
are
quote
deep.
or some motivation
They are
or
deep.
inspiration we leave with our audience. So as a guest, go ahead, Mayor. Go on, drop some knowledge on us.
They deep. I'm
Go on,
telling you,
drop
they
some
deep.
knowledge on our viewers real
You would
quick.
think they go to church every Sunday.
Oh, really?
Oh, I go to church now.
Yeah, you got to do that. I mean, again, it's all about order. So seek ye first the kingdom, and all the other things will line up.
Amen.
All right, Chaz, what you got?
I'm gonna get back to you. I'm gonna go last.
So I don't have a quote, but I'm gonna leave you with some inspiration. Dare to dream. If you don't take the leap, you're gonna stay stagnant. So continue to dream and take the leap.
That's 2 days. That was kind of bar.
What you mean? That's a good one.
Kind of par.
What you thought that was what?
Dreaming is always good.
Dreaming is always good. Thank you very much.
I don't know. I'm not deep like that. You know, just laugh it off. That's my quote. Laugh it off. If you smile, it feels better.
You've already
There
used
you
that's
go.
not fair. You already used that one.
I'm gonna use as many as I want.
Well, I'm gonna end like this. So of course, you know, being a leader of the city takes a lot of faith, right? So I'm gonna end with this: faith without works is dead.
Wow.
He said a Bible
Hey,
scripture.
see?
Lord, he's been delivered. He's been delivered.
Thank you guys
But thank
for
y'all
joining
for joining
us.
us.
As always, it's
Yes.
love, and we'll see you next time.
All right
Thank you.
now. Yeah.
Hey.
Man, y'all are good.